everybody, I hope you're all doing well. First of all, I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and New Year, because I haven't made a video since then. Second thing to note, well, just to say I hope you're all doing well given the current circumstances. And third thing is that this is new, isn't it? Yeah, there's no painted wall behind me because I've now got my own flat, which is exciting. And that wall has now been wallpapered over, so we will literally never see it again. So that's a fun start to the new year. Anyway, not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about something else. Something else that if I wanted to make any money off, I would have done it months ago. But alas, I am doing it now, and we are going to have a quick discussion, hopefully quick anyway, about this, the Second Sight box set of Dawn of the Dead. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, if you have clicked on this video, you've most likely seen other videos by people who made it a lot sooner than I did. And I am going to be totally plain with you. I'm probably not going to tell you anything you don't already know. The reason I'm making this video is, one, I fancied making a video. Two, it's well worth talking about. And thirdly, it's a fantastic film. It's one of my favourite films, and a set of this standard is well worth my time and yours, I believe. So all I'm going to do is quickly run through the contents of the box, roughly go over the sort of specs and things of it, not in an in-depth way because I don't really give too many fucks about that. And then I was going to say at the end I'll give you my recommendation, but I might as well do that now. If you haven't got it, go and get it. Now, Dawn of the Dead has always been one of my favourite movies, and I collect horror movies, as you probably know. But it's one I've always held off on because I always felt like there was going to be a big release of it. And I know there's been the odd box set here. I think there was like a German box set at one point. But I always held off, A, because they were too expensive, and B, because I just felt like something else was going to come out. Second Sight did announce this. It was in production for absolutely ages. It came out, I wouldn't dare to say, it was at some point last year anyway. I had mine pre-ordered. Did the pre-orders go up in May? My brain's telling me that. It might not be true. Got it pre-ordered straight away. This, controversially, this came out in two different forms. There's this, which is the standard Blu-ray, or there is the 4K UHD version. This was $69.99, the 4K UHD was $79.99. I'm not much of a stickler for picture quality. I think 4K is more than good enough for me, unless obviously, you know, I come across a UHD disc that's going cheap. But you get the same stuff in both box sets. The £10 difference is literally just for the picture quality, and I felt like that was a little bit of a stretch. Not that they're overpriced by any means. I mean, $69.99, $79.99. I get the feeling a lot of people would have paid a lot more, frankly, for the quality of this. But I did just go for the standard. These are all the 3 cuts of the film in here are all still remastered in 4K. They all look fabulous. So my first word would be, because I've seen a lot of people posting the pictures and they've all got the 4K ones, I wouldn't feel pressured into getting the 4K one, the 4K UHD one rather, because this, I mean, unless you're ultra picky about your picture quality, this is more than likely going to fulfill whatever needs you have, and it certainly does me. So just quickly, we will look at the box itself. This is the original poster for the film, as I'm sure everyone who's watching this knows. The side there, you've just got the Dawn of the Dead logo, quite basic on the side, but I do quite like how stark it is. On the back there, obviously, you've got the famous tagline, Second Sight Films logo, and then just again the same on that side. Now, this box set does have it's heavy as well. I think it's about 1 kilogram, and it's really, I mean, you can hear how sort of solid it is built. The top comes off. I'm used to doing these videos sat down, so I normally have somewhere to put stuff. And as you can see, it is jam-packed with stuff. So I'm going to start from the front and just work backwards, I think. Now, you pull out the first thing, and the first thing to note is lovely new artwork. Some people weren't a fan of this artwork. I really quite like it. It's got the aesthetic of the film quite accurately, I think. And the colour scheme is nice. And inside here we have the first 4 discs of this set. I will go through from left to right. So we have the theatrical cut in 4K, obviously. We have the extended cans cut, again in 4K. We've got the Argento cut, the European one, and then we've got a disc of bonus features. Now, when it comes to the different cuts, I've only recently seen all 3. I grew up with the theatrical cut, and then the other 2 came into my knowledge at some later date. And partially one of the reasons I wanted to wait to do this video was to make sure that I'd seen all 3 cuts before, because until yesterday I didn't see the Argento cut, but I was quite ill and thought, you know what, I'm going to kill some time. So The difference in the three cuts, I'm looking to the right there because I've got some notes. The Argento cut, the one that I watched yesterday, is the version that was released in Italy and various other European places, I believe. It was edited down by Dario Argento. It runs at about 119 minutes, so it's the shortest of the three versions. And the library music that's present in the other cuts has been totally removed and replaced with Goblin. A lot of people seem to really like this version of the film. I didn't dislike it, but it's something that I've watched once and I really don't think I'd revisit because I do think the other versions are superior. The Goblin soundtrack is fantastic, but it does become a little bit repetitive at times, at least with the library music present in the others. There's variety there, whereas every action scene in the Argento cut seems to have one of two tracks placed over it. Nothing wrong with the tracks, they're just a little bit overused, I think. There's scenes that have been removed and scenes that have been added in. There's a couple of dialogue scenes that have been added in, a couple have been taken away. Generally though, the difference is that the Argento cut is a little bit slicker, a little bit faster paced, more action, a little bit more gore, more Goblin. I don't want to say the character development is taken out of it, but there is a little bit less. If you're wanting to watch an action film, you'd probably go for the Argento cut. But personally, I do think that it loses a little bit when compared to the other two. The next one to talk about is the theatrical cut. Now, this is the one that was released widely across the US, I believe. George Romero's favourite of the three cuts, it is to be noted. Runs at about 127 minutes, so it's 8 minutes longer than Argento's cut. And these are mainly some establishing shots, some dialogue that was missing from Argento's version. Interestingly, though, there is dialogue taken out of Argento's version as well, like this scene where Stephen and Peter are talking about how, well, Stephen is talking about how easily the zombies can be dealt with.
Well, I know GON's out by now. That place is a madhouse back there.
With Detroit,
People are crazy. If they just organize. I can't believe they let it get this bad. I can't believe they couldn't handle it. Look at us. Look what we were able to do today. Knock the shit out of them. They never even touched us. Not really.
They touched us good, Flyboy. We're lucky to get out with our asses. You don't forget that.
That's present in Argento's version, not in the theatrical one, interestingly. Main difference, though, is with the music. George Romero leaned a lot more towards the DeWolf Library music, which, in my opinion, does work a lot better in a lot of instances. That's not to say the Argento cut has weaker moments because of the music. I think a lot of the time, the better moments in the European cut are the moments where there's no music at all. It sort of makes you focus more on the action and sometimes makes it feel a little bit more somber, a little bit more serious. Overall, though, I would take the library music. Like I say, as much as I love Goblin, it is a little bit overused in the European cut. You get a lot of variety with the music in the theatrical cut. I don't think there's an instance of a track being used more than, say, 2 or 3 times, and even then it's usually brief snippets because, later on in this box set you'll see there's a lot of music, and it all fits really well. I think George Romero was very, very talented at picking out music that fitted, considering that a lot of the music for his early films wasn't conducted specifically for the work he was doing. You look at Night of the Living Dead, for instance, the music in that film is synonymous with that film, even though it wasn't made for it. It's just used really, really well. And the same is true of the library tracks in the theatrical cut. Many people's favourite is the theatrical, mainly I think because George's favourite was the theatrical cut. And it's a solid cut. I would take it over the Argento European version, but I would still rather have the extended hours cut. Mainly because I'm an absolute sucker for this movie and I basically want everything that was ever shot in there. I don't care if it's 5 hours long, I still stand by the fact that I would love this movie. The Cannes cut, the extended cut, I believe, was the very first cut that George did for the Cannes Film Festival. It runs at, consult the notes, 139 minutes. So that is 20 minutes longer than the Argento cut and 12 minutes longer than the theatrical. And again, musically, it's very similar. The only things that are added in are, again, sort of the odd scene here and there of character development, a little bit of dialogue. A lot of people find it to be quite languidly paced, which is a fair assessment, I think, but I'm talking personally, I just really love the characters in this film, and the more time I get to spend with them, the better. I sort of, a lot of films I'll just stick on for entertainment, but when I decide to watch Dawn of the Dead, I like to make it an event. I'm like, right, okay, longest possible version, here we go, sit down, food. And yeah, I think the Cannes cut is probably my favourite of the three. A lot of people, again, think it's a little bit slow, which is fair, but I mean, if I was to watch one now, I would pick the longer version. There is a fourth cut which isn't included in this box set because it's not been officially approved by anybody, but it is the what's it called again? It's just like, it's a fan edit. It's basically an amalgamation of the three, which includes as much footage as possible. I think it's about 2 hours 35 minutes, that one, so it is considerably longer. The only issue is with it being edited by fans rather than the official makers of the film, it does feel a little bit choppy here and there, so I can understand why it wasn't included here. Music especially will sort of come in and go out really quite quickly because they've cut between not just scenes but different scenes from different versions, and it's a little bit messy, but overall that's worth your time as well if you haven't seen it. Another thing to mention is the fourth disc of special features. Now this will have been a big draw to a lot of people. I love my special features. I really like seeing on the back, you know, when it's got loads of stuff, because I like to watch a film and then learn about it, especially one as interesting as Dawn of the Dead. Now, in terms of audio commentary, you know, I generally don't actually listen to audio commentaries, but I will get through these ones because each cut has at least one commentary by people who are involved in making it. But on top of that, we also have that special bonus disc of stuff, and it is jam-packed, as I have my list down there, so I'll be looking off to the right to read these to you. So the first thing is a featurette called Zombies and Bikers, which is basically interviews with cast members who played zombies and bikers. That's an hour long, so plenty to learn there. Memories of Monroeville, that is a guided tour of the mall, which is really interesting to see. That's 34 minutes. Raising the Dead, which is mainly about the production of the film, including interviews. My Day of the Dead Blu-ray just tipped to one side. Interviews with people who are involved in the production, that lasts 23 minutes. Special effects, Tom Savini, obviously, 13 minutes. We've got various interviews with cast members and crew, including a George Romero interview that was originally thought to be lost, I believe. That's hidden in there somewhere. We've got some Super 8 footage of the mall taken on handheld cameras at the time of filming. That lasts 13 minutes. We've got Document of the Dead, 2 versions of it, which is basically like an all-encompassing documentary about how the film came to be, the production, the release, all that sort of thing. 2 versions, you've got the extended and the definitive edition. The definitive is slightly longer, I believe. Both well worth your time, fascinating stuff if you want to look into the film. We've got an 80-minute documentary called The Dead Will Walk. Again, one I haven't seen, but I believe it's like a sort of longer documentary focused around the production of the film. And then you've got it jam-packed with trailers and TV spots and things like that from various countries. Anyway, there's more in this box than the films. Next thing to pull out, again, you've got the same artwork, are the CDs. Now, you get 3 CDs. This, to my knowledge, is the most complete version of the soundtrack that's ever been released, because you've got the first CD, which is the Goblin score, specifically made for the film. Other 2 are the DeWolf Library tracks. Now, there are, if you'll bear with me, 29 tracks on the first disc, 23 on the second, so that makes more than 50, we'll say, of the library tracks. There may be some included that aren't included, sorry. To my knowledge, though, this is pretty complete as far as it goes. I remember I was quite shocked when I got the vinyl soundtrack of this film and it didn't include a lot of the library tracks, but then I realised it was the original soundtrack that was made by Goblin, so there's not as many tracks on there, and it sort of feels, if you're used to the theatrical or the Cannes cut, it sort of feels a little bit incomplete without the moments of DeWolf Library music, particularly the moment at the airfield. We've got, after Roger died, there's a sort of sequence where they're going about business in the mall, and there's this really sort of somber piece of music. That's not Goblin, and again, it was missing from the Argento cut. That's a really lovely bit of music, all included in here, so that is a fantastic little bonus for this box set. Now, another thing that made me not want to do this video too soon is because I wanted to read the literature that came with it, and there are 2 books inside. The first of which is this hardback called Dissecting the Dead. Very hardback. And this is, let's have a look, because I did read this all the other night. It's 156 pages. It's got about 15 to 20 essays in here about the film, covering all sorts about its release, about the politics, the gender politics, the economic and social commentaries. There's the American Gothic stuff. I mean, if I was to flick through, it's a really, really comprehensive collection of essays by a lot of well-respected writers. And, in case it couldn't get any better, in the middle we have a lot of stills, which I don't think have actually been released before. And there are a lot of these. I mean, you've got on-set photographs. I don't know how well you can see this. You've got behind the scenes. You've got some of the music there, the sheet music. You've got some models, some collectibles, adverts, posters. Basically, this is fantastic, and it is so worth your time. I know a lot of people will get limited editions and just sort of leave the literature to one side. I'm guilty of that a lot of the time. But I'm such a fan of this film, I decided to pick up this book and read it. And if you've got this box set, or if you haven't got this box set and you want to pick it up, make sure you give this your time, because it is really, really interesting. It gives a lot of insight into the film, even if it's a film that you consider yourself to be really familiar with, which is new, because then you can rewatch it and pick up little bits that they did, which is really nice. So there is that. The other book that comes with it is the official novelisation of it. This is a paperback, as you can see. But yeah, this was released by George Romero and Susanna Sparrow, I think. Yes. It's got a foreword by Simon Pegg as well at some point. Yeah, there we go. This was this released alongside the film or just after? I'm not entirely sure. But I've always wanted to get my hands on it and read it. And I did, and I enjoyed it. It's bizarre because it's a really long film, and it's a film that's full of things to say, but the novel itself is only 226 pages rather. And I went into it sort of thinking, how is everything going to fit in here? And I'll be honest, it doesn't. As much as I enjoyed it, it does feel a little bit abridged. It feels closer to the Argento version of the film. For instance, the bicycle raid at the end takes place over about 20 pages, which really isn't that much considering how long it takes in the film. And I don't know, I really, really want to recommend this without sounding too harsh. If you're interested in the film, give it a read, but it does feel abridged. It does feel, I don't want to say rushed at the end, but you know when you're sort of running out of pages and you're thinking there's still quite a lot to happen? It's a little bit like that. I do wish it was a little bit longer, because I really enjoyed reading it, but you know, it's a really lovely thing to have in the box set if you're interested, and it's a really nice thing to give your time to. And the last little thing to mention is that it comes with some shiny postcards, 4 of them to be exact, 4 of the iconic zombies. We've got Stephen, we've got the Hare Krishna zombie, we've got the airfield zombie, and the nurse, I think the last one is? Yeah, the nurse. Just really nice little postcards they are, really nicely printed, and again it's done in the style of the new artwork, which some people don't like, I personally do. Just a nice little addition there. Anyways, I said I was going to end with a recommendation, and this is it. Buy this, please, 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 for God's sake, buy this box set. It is, I know there's lovely releases of Dawn of the Dead. This is it. This is the one to get, in my opinion. It's so reasonably priced for what you get. I mean, I paid £70 for this, and I know some very basic box sets go for that. This is jam-packed with stuff. It's obscenely well made. It's criminally underpriced, I believe, and get it while you can. That is my absolute advice, whether it's 4K or not. It's so worth your time. It's a fantastic film. It's a fantastic release. And I'm going to end it there. So, yeah, as I say, I hope you all had a lovely new year. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will probably see you again at some point in the near future. Thank you very much, and goodbye.